Dear students, we are going to talk about the general concept of pharmaceutical packaging and its components. What are the basic materials which are used in pharmaceutical packaging, such as glass, plastics, metals, rubber, and paper? Also, what are the types of containers and closures? What are the quality control tests? And we will briefly talk on the adhesives and printing inks. Packaging begins with the material selection. Material selection drives the choice and type of packaging equipment, and most importantly, the final package performance. Packaging performance is the primary criteria which is used to define how successful a package is. The choice of material for a package drives all other choices about the product's appearance and customer attributes. It influences and many times determines how a product is manufactured, filled, sterilized, labeled, bundled, distributed, and presented to the customer. It can influence where a customer looks for a package in a retail store, how the customer uses the product in the home, and how a hospital or nursing home handles a product through the inventory and distribution systems. The hardest and most difficult choices of a package engineer must make are the selection of the materials used to package a new product. Existing products of a similar class or types many times mimic the packaging used on the first marketed product. Even if newer materials and alternative material fabrication, manufacturing, or other techniques offer significant advantages. Ideally, a package must protect the preparation from environmental conditions. At the same time, it should be non toxic and non reactive with the product. It should not impart any kind of odor or taste to the product. It should meet applicable temper resistance requirements and be FDA approved. It should not cause any kind of product degradation and must be adaptable to commonly employed high speed packaging equipments. While studying the functions of packaging, one important one was protection of the product. What comes first of all in mind in terms of protection is if any kind of physical damage that a product is being exposed to. In terms of hazards, let us technically call it mechanical hazard. Now, these are of five types: shock or impact damage, compression, vibration, electric conductance, and abrasion. Then, under climatic or environmental hazards, come adverse effects due to moisture, temperature, pressure, atmospheric gases, light, and solid airborne contaminants. Biological hazards include microbiological and chemical hazards. Now, let us say You are given a formulation and various packaging materials. You have to scrutinize what is the right packaging material or container enclosure for packing that formulation. How will you decide that? You can decide that on the basis of 7 criteria. Number 1. What are the facilities available? For example, pressurized dispenser requires special filling equipment. Until you have that, you cannot pack the material you desire to. Then what is the ultimate use of the product? The product may be used by a skilled person in hospital or may need to be suitable for use in home by patient. What is the physical form of the product? If the product is solid, semi-solid, liquid or gaseous dosage form. Then on the route of administration, for example, it is oral or parenteral, etc. What is the stability of the material? For example, moisture, oxygen, light, temperature. Fluctuations of these may have a deleterious effect on the product. Then what are the contents of the product? The product may react with the package, such as release of alkali from the glass or corrosion of metals, and in turn, the product is affected. And then finally, what is the cost of the product? Only the expensive products can justify expensive packaging. Packaging is of 3 types: primary, secondary, and tertiary. In primary packaging, the package is in direct contact with the contents. For example, ampoules, vials, blister packaging. Then is secondary packaging, which lies outside the primary packaging, mostly to group the primary package together. For example, paper boxes. Then is tertiary packaging. This is for bulk handling and then storage in the warehouse or transportation. Glass is the container of choice for oral pharmaceutical liquids, eye drops, and parenterals. Their advantages are many, but so are the limitations. Glass is generally inert, transparent, and durable. It is impermeable to moisture and atmospheric gases. It is also easy to mold in different shapes and sizes and can withstand sterilization temperature and pressure. But it is fragile and heavy. Because it is heavy, the transportation cost increases. Because it is fragile, glass particles from the cracks in the bottles may enter the product. Alkaline glass may react with product and induce chemical interaction or precipitation of citrates, phosphates, and bicarbonates like ionic radicals. So there are 4 types of glass used in pharmaceutical containers: type 1, type 2, type 3, and NP glass. Type 1 is borosilicate glass. Type 2 glass is very high quality soda lime glass. The last two are lower grades of soda lime glass and approximate glass found in packaging food and other consumer products. Their performance characteristics are listed in USP as type 3 glass and NP or non-parental glass. Both type 3 glass and non-parental glass are acceptable for food packaging. Non-parental glass has highest specification for leachable components in USP's standardized tests. This difference makes its use and the development of testing to prove its suitability for a drug product more problematic. NP glass must be proven safe and acceptable for use in pharmaceutical packaging, but really is closer to a general or generic grade of glass. It is one of the USP standards but now widely used in pharmaceutical packaging. Two limited applications for type NP glass are in packaging oral or topical products. It is not a material normally used in primary drug packaging. Type 1 glass is borosilicate glass. It possesses a high hydrolytic resistance and low thermal expansion. It is produced by replacing the sodium oxide by boric oxide and some lime by alumina in the basic components of glass. It has a high melting point and can withstand high temperature. It is also resistant to chemical substances. As a result, it is expensive and the processing cost is also high. It is therefore mostly used for ampoules and vials for injectables. Type 2 glass is soda lime silica surface treated glass. I repeat, soda lime silica surface treated glass. It has high hydrolytic resistance. It is relatively easier to produce in different shapes and sizes and is comparatively cheaper. It is useful to fill aqueous preparations like eye drops, nasal drops, etc. It is made from commercial soda lime glass that has been dealkalized or treated to remove surface alkali. The dealkalizing process is known as sulfur treatment. This neutralizes the alkaline oxides on the surface, rendering the glass more chemically resistant. It is acceptable for most products except blood products and aqueous products with a pH less than 7. Type 3 glass is soda lime silica glass. It contains more leachable oxides as compared to type 2 glass. Therefore, it is used for non-aqueous injections and powders for injections or for topical or oral liquids. This type of glass is not suitable for alkali sensitive products. It is suitable for non-aqueous parenterals and non-parenteral products. Type 4 or non-parenteral glass is general purpose soda lime silica glass. It has very low hydrolytic resistance. It is not suitable for parenterals. It is most frequently used material for packaging of some liquids, semi-solid and solid dosage forms. Then comes colored glass. Colored glass is obtained by adding small amounts of metals during the fusion of glass. It is used for light sensitive products, which does not allow the UV rays to pass through it. Colored glasses are generally not used for parenteral preparations because it becomes difficult to check the clarity in such preparations. Another type is neutral glass. It is again a commercial variety of glass available in between soda lime glass and borosilicate glass. It is resistant to alkalis, weathering. It can also withstand autoclaving. This kind of glass is used in manufacture of multi-dose vials and transfusion bottles. Here are two tables enlisting which kind of glass is used for which kind of container. They could be ampule, vial, bottles and jars, dropper, and aerosol container. Like you can see, in ampules, for aqueous injectables of any pH, type 1, the most superior one, is used. Whereas for non-aqueous, even type 3 is used. Again, for vials of aqueous injectables, again type 1 is used. For dry powder parenteral use, type 4 is also used, but it needs to be reconstituted before use. Aerosol containers containing a solution or suspension use type 1 type of glass, whereas bottles and jars can be made of type 1 and type 4 type of glass. Type 1 glass is used only for blood and related products. Plastic materials are of two types, thermoplastic and thermosetting. Thermoplastic types are those which on heating soften to form viscous fluid which hardens again on cooling. It is resistant to breakage and very cheap to produce. Example, PVC, polystyrene, polypropylene, polyamide and polycarbonate. Thermosetting type of plastics are those which when heating they may become flexible but they do not become liquid like thermoplastic types. During heating, such materials form permanent crosslinks between the linear chains, resulting in solidification and loss of plastic flow. Example: phenol formaldehyde, urea formaldehyde, and melamine formaldehyde. Plastics offer several advantages for pharmaceutical packaging. Cost wise, they are very economical. They are light in weight and therefore easy for transportation. They are durable and have high protection power. They are unbreakable and leak proof. Also, they are flexible, facilitating the product dispensing. They are able to retain their shape throughout their use. Plastics have few limitations also. These are permeable to some degree of moisture, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and exhibit electrostatic attraction. They also allow penetration of light rays until they are colored. Another term associated with their limitation is stress cracking. It is a phenomenon related to low density polythene and certain stress cracking agents such as wetting agents, detergents, and volatile oils. Then comes paneling or cavitation. Paneling occurs when the pressure inside a plastic bottle becomes less than the ambient air pressure outside, causing the walls of the bottle to partially collapse inward. The result is an aesthetically unappealing product package with a distorted shape and badly wrinkled labels. In plastics such as polystyrene, a surface reticulation may occur. This is called crazing. Plastics such as polyolefins. In these type of plastics, additives that migrate to the surface of the plastic may cause printing problems. Poor impact resistance. This can be seen in both polystyrene and PVC. They have poor resistance basically. This can be improved by inclusion of impact modifiers such as rubber in case of polystyrene and methyl methacrylate butadiene styrene for PVC. Then comes polyethylene type of plastic. Polyethylene is of two types: low density and high density. Low density polyethylene is generally used for squeeze bottles, droppers, etc., whereas high density polyethylene is mechanically more stronger and less permeable to water. Therefore, it is used for bottles and jars. A limitation is that it is prone to stress cracking in the presence of surfactants or oils. Also, it lacks clarity and is therefore not a choice for volatile ingredients. It absorbs preservatives from the liquids filled in it. Polypropylene type of plastic has a greater resistance against cracking and is comparatively more non-reactive against most of the organic solvents. It also tolerates sterilization temperature and has good impermeability against gases. But on exposure to lower temperature, it may become brittle. Therefore, polypropylene cannot be stored in a freezer. Because of their high mechanical strength, they are used to make closures with hinges. Its containers are also used for shock-proof packaging for tablets and capsules. Polyvinyl chloride has crack-resistant nature and crystal clarity. It also has good gas impermeability, stiffness, and resistance to acids and alkalis. It is therefore used for collapsible intravenous bags, which are flexible and collapse during infusion. Therefore, it does not require air inlet system. This helps in controlling airborne contamination of IV fluids. Polyethylene infusion bags are semi-rigid, hence they do not fully collapse, whereas PVC infusion bags collapse completely. Polystyrene is not very frequently used in pharmaceutical packaging due to high permeability to water vapor and oxygen. It is used as low-cost pack for ointments, creams, powders, and other non-sterile and low water containing medicaments. Polyvinylidene chloride, on the other hand, has excellent barrier properties against moisture, water vapor, UV light, aroma, alkalis, etc. It is non-toxic. It also has high levels of transparency, which improves the aesthetics of the product. The plastics could interact with the products in 5 different ways: by absorption, leaching, permeation, chemical reaction, and alteration in the physical properties of plastics or products. Leaching is transfer of chemicals from plastic to the formulation. Metals are very commonly used for making the containers for pharmaceutical packaging. These include tin, aluminium, tin plated steel, stainless steel, lead, and linings. Because of its chemical reactivity and considerable weight, along with high cost, its use is decreasing, but they are still used for collapsible tubes for semi-solids and foils for strip and blister packaging. The advantages of metal containers are they are mechanically strong. They are impermeable to light, moisture, and gases. At the same time, the labels can be directly printed on their surface. But as I just mentioned, they have some limitations like high cost, chemical reactivity, difficult to produce seamless containers or one piece containers, non transparent, and difficult to mold in a variety of attractive shapes and sizes. Also, metal containers require internal coating with epoxy resin to prevent unwanted chemical reactions and also to prevent gray marks due to abrasion appearing on the tablets. Aluminium is a relatively light but strong metal. Thick aluminum is used for constructing aerosol cans, whereas thin aluminum is used for making flexible foil used in blister packaging. Intermediate thickness aluminum is used for making collapsible tubes for semi-solid preparations. Aluminum forms aluminum oxide on its surface, which is susceptible to corrosion. To overcome this, aluminum is lined with epoxide, vinyl, or phenolic resins. Rubbers are excellent material for forming seals, making closures for vials and gaskets in aerosol cans. They are of two types: natural rubber and synthetic rubber. Natural rubber is suitable for multiple use closures for injectable products as rubber reseals after multiple insertion of needles. But there is always a risk of the product being absorbed in or onto the rubber. It also has certain degree of moisture and gas permeation, whereas synthetic rubbers are less suitable for repeated insertions of needles because they tend to fragment into small particles of rubber into the product.